If you've ever felt intimidated by gear or aren't sure how to even start building a pedal board, this is the video for you, and I'm going to be showing you 3 simple steps you can do so that you'll feel confident in building a pedal board and starting to create the tone that you want on your guitar. Having spent a life studying music and more than 7 years doing music professionally, I wanted to make this video to condense what I wish I would have known when I was first starting with gear so that you can be a better guitarist and performer. So let's jump into the first step. So the first thing that you're going to need to start doing is ear training. This is going to be so helpful because it's going to help you start recognizing guitars and songs that you like or in live music, and then be able to recreate those sounds to give that emotion that you want. So what I'm going to do is go through and play through some of the most common effects, and you can kind of hear just the general sound of these. I think an important thing with this is remembering that as much as Reddit and the internet will try to tell you, there is no right or wrong with tone. It is about what you like and about how it can create the emotion and sounds that are in your head on guitar. So now I'm just going to play through some of the most common effects so you can get an idea of kind of a baseline for all of these sounds. So first up, we have my completely clean tone to compare everything to. Notice that it doesn't sound very full or like I have my amp cranked up very loud. It also doesn't really ring out very long, and it doesn't sound like it's in a very big space at all. So there's just not as much character to it as there could be, even though it doesn't sound bad, especially if you play through a really great amp, it's gonna sound still really good. So next I have some light overdrive on there. I'm using the Timmy pedal, and this is a transparent overdrive, which basically means that it makes it sound like your amp is cranked up really loud, like you're at a rock show, but with it being transparent, it's not going to add any EQ or anything like that. It just is gonna be pure overdrive to make it sound like you've really cranked your amp up, but you don't actually have to have your amp that loud. So I hope that this kind of helps you hear that. Next, I'll play a bit higher of a drive. So next up, I have distortion, and the difference mainly between this and overdrive is that distortion actually can kind of alter the sound of your guitar, and it's kind of the perfect type effect to slap on when you're playing a big rock solo and when you really want to shred. So here is the distortion. Reverb is going to make it sound like you are singing in your shower, and there's all these pretty acoustics around. There's a couple different types. I won't cover those all right now, but I think something that is helpful to learn is that the decay of your reverb is going to be how long that sound is held out after your note, and then mixed or wet dry signal is how much of the reverb comes into your playing. The last common effect that I'm going to cover is delay. This is just what it sounds like, where you play a note and then there's another note or multiple notes that then happen after it. I think that these pedals can get the most complicated because there's a lot of different timings that you can do. You can have 2 delays happening at once, etc. So I would recommend starting off with a pretty simple one so it doesn't overwhelm you. But overall, you can think about this kind of being like the Grinch in his cave, like, you're an idiot, and then it happens over and over again. So that is delay. So the next thing that I think is going to really help you is just understanding the basics of how a pedal works and how you connect all of these. If you do not already have one of these just from somebody else in your house, it can be a little bit confusing, but the main thing that you have to think about it is it's just like circuits that we might have learned in science class. And I'm gonna keep this really high level. We have something to plug it in, so each one needs power. Some of them, if they're passive, do not need power. And then after that, they each have an in and out that connects them, and we just use these little 1/4-inch cables to connect them all. So, you know, your guitar is a 1/4-inch cable, so you basically will plug that in at the start and then just go in, out, in, out, in, out to your amp. Mine looks a little weird because I have an amp that is basically a pedal. And so it's nice. I don't have to lug it around to gigs, but that's basically all it is how it works. And so with these, the directions in the specific pedal that you buy and online will always give you instructions of how to use it. Some of them need more power than others. I will not get into all that. But bottom line is it is very simple. And you might think like, why don't you have all of these then running into the wall or wherever your power supply is? And my answer to that is they actually all plug into this. So this is like basically a big battery that all these little cables then plug into. And then I just have to worry about plugging this one big one into the wall. So that is a very high level about how pedals work. So the last step to stop being intimidated about building a pedal board and go for it is to, I think, just start with one. Once you get that one pedal, you're going to be able to play around with it, see how that one different one sounds in different settings, and then gradually add one more. And you'll start buying things like pedal power or a pedal board as you need them. You do not need all of that to start out. So I would recommend going into a music store that you just feel like the people there have a good vibe, and tell them your price range. And you can do online research as well, but I do think that going to an actual person, maybe even just a friend or whatnot, is gonna be a little bit more helpful because they'll be able to kind of help you choose one in your price range and talk you through some of the options, and you won't have to worry about sorting through all of this content online. So if I was to start with one pedal, and I'm going to exclude a volume pedal and a tuner because I feel like those are just very practical, and I also probably will exclude compression since that one can be a little bit complicated to do ear training with, is I think I would just start with an overdrive pedal. It's very easy to hear. It's easy to hear when there's more or less of. It really can add a lot, especially to solos, and they're honestly just fun to play around with. So kind of pick and choose. That's obviously just an option, and see what you like. So I hope that this video helped make all of this kind of world feel very easy for you to enter if you were thinking about getting into electric guitar, and stick to those people that make you feel like exploring and learning is really positive and that you can do it. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and best of luck to you getting your first pedal.